Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 8. The sons of Sagara meet Lord Kapila Dev. Text 24 through 30. Prashantamaya guna karma lingam anama rupam sarasatva muktam Gyanopadeshaya grihita deham Namamahe tvam purusham puranam Prashanta, O completely peaceful one, Maya guna, the modes of material nature, Karma lingam, symptomized by fruitive activities, Anamarupam, one who has no material name or form, Sarasat Vimuktam, transcendental to the manifested and unmanifested modes of material nature. Jnana Upadeshaya, for distributing transcendental knowledge, as in Bhagavad-Gita. Grihita Deham, has assumed a form like a material body. Namamahe, I offer my respectful obeisances. Tvam, unto you. Purusham, the Supreme Person. Puranam, the original. Translation. O completely peaceful Lord, although material nature, fruit of activities, and their consequent material names and forms are your creation, you are unaffected by them. Therefore, your transcendental name is different from material names, and your form is different from material forms. You assume a form resembling a material body just to give us instructions like those of Bhagavad-Gita. But actually, you are the supreme original person. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. Srila Yamunacharya has recited this verse in his Stotra Ratna. Bhavantam eva nucharan nirantara prashanta nishesha manoratantara kadaham aikantika nitya kinkara paharshayishyami sanata jivatam. By serving you constantly, one is freed from all material desires and is completely pacified. When shall I engage as your permanent eternal servant and always feel joyful to have such a fitting master? Manoratenasati dhavato bihi. One who acts on the mental platform must descend to material activities. Material contamination, however, is completely absent from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotee. Therefore, the Lord is addressed as Prashanta, completely peaceful, free from the disturbances of material existence. The Supreme Lord has no material name or form. Only the foolish think that the Lord's name and form are material. Avajananti mamhuta. manushim tanamashritam. The identity of the Supreme Lord is that he is the original person. Nonetheless, those who have but a poor fund of knowledge think that the Lord is formless. The Lord is formless in the material sense, but he has his transcendental form, Satchidananda Vigraha. So we've been asked to read the rest of the verses in this chapter. O my Lord, those whose hearts are bewildered by the influence of lust, greed, envy, and illusion are interested only in false hearth and home in this world created by your Maya. Attached to home, wife, and children, they wander in this material world perpetually. O super soul of all living entities, O personality of Godhead, simply by seeing you, I have now been freed from all lusty desires, which are the root cause of insurmountable illusion and bondage in the material world. O King Pritchett, when Amshuman had glorified the Lord in this way, the great sage Kapila, the powerful incarnation of Vishnu, being very merciful to him, explained to him the path of knowledge. The personality of Godhead said, my dear Amshuman, here is the animal sought by your grandfather for sacrifice. Please take it. As for your forefathers who have been burnt to ashes, they can be delivered only by Ganges water and not by any other means. Thereafter, Amshuman circumambulated Kapila Muni and offered him respectful obeisances, bowing his head. After fully satisfying him in this way, Amshuman brought back the horse meant for sacrifice, and with this horse, Maharaj Sagara performed the remaining ritualistic ceremonies. After delivering charge of his kingdom to Amshuman, and thus being freed from all material anxiety and bondage, Sagara Maharaj, following the means instructed by Orva Muni, achieved the supreme destination. Thus end the Bhakti-Vedanta purports of the 9th canto, 8th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Sons of Sagara Meet Lord Kapila Dev. Om Jnana-Timidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chokshun Militang Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The history of King Sagar has ended gloriously in that he gets the horse back for his Ashwamedha Yajna, and most importantly, living under the direction of the sadhu Orva Muni. He ends his existence in this world by attaining the supreme destination. That is real success. Nevertheless, we should note that during his stay in this world, there were problems. That is the nature of material existence. Problematic for everyone. Sagar is the son of Maharaj Bahuka, who started out having an opulent position, but some or other his enemies plundered him and left him with nothing. So Bahuka went to the forest with his wife, and there he died, leaving his wife behind. As was the tradition at that time, the wife decided to embrace the funeral fire. But just as she was about to step in, the sage Orva Muni says, wait, you can't leave this world alone with your husband. You are pregnant. So that was that. She lived in order to give birth and raise her child. She had co-wives, though. And the co-wives were envious that she was giving birth. So while she was pregnant, they gave her poison. You may remember this poison problem also in the 6th canto of Bhagavatam, Chitraketu. The envy problem doesn't end there. We'll see how it also creeps in once the child is born, because the child actually survived the poison. Therefore, the Shastra says, the child got the name Sagar, with poison. The poison did not kill the child in the womb. The child was born and became king. A successful king with many sons had one particular son who was quite unusual. He could remember his previous life. He could remember that he was a great yogi in his previous life, but had fallen. Now he had taken birth in a royal family. So, because this particular son of Sagar had the gift of Jati Smara, remembering his past life, just like Jad Bharat in the 5th canto, he behaved like an avaduta, doing things totally unacceptable, unpredictable, because he didn't want to mix with ordinary persons. Just like Jad Bharat in the 5th canto. And this son of Sagar, while playing with his playmates in the water, would take them and throw them in the deep part of the water and drown them. Of course, it was an outrage. What is this? How can the son of the king be behaving in this way? Killing young boys, drowning them purposely in the water. So what did the son of the king decide to do? Watch this. He brought them all back to life. So then the people were thinking, what do we have in our midst here? Extraordinary personality. Knowing that would happen, this particular son of Sagar disappeared. He left. Because his whole portfolio, his whole modus operandi was that I don't want to mix with the general population. I made a mistake in my previous life as a yogi. Now I'm just keeping to myself. Sagar had many other sons, and they were assisting him when Sagar was performing Ashwamedha Yajna. He was that opulent. He was that opulent that he could perform the horse sacrifice. But envy crept into his life again. This is the nature of material existence. Matsarya, jealousy. You cannot tolerate someone having a superior position. You have to drag that person down somehow, minimize their glories somehow, diminish them this way, that way. So who was envious of Saga? Remember Prithu in the 4th canto, performing one more horse sacrifice than Indra could do. And Indra stole the horse. Again, Indra steals this horse. You think, Indra, don't you have enough wealth? Don't you have enough fame? You're the king of the heavenly planets. But we don't understand the nature of the material energy. You're never satisfied. The more you get, the more you want. We are in illusion thinking we will be peaceful by fulfilling our material desires. This is our madness. In the verse we chanted, Kapila is referred to as Prashanta, O completely peaceful one. There can only be peace when we give up this infection, this craziness that material desires will satisfy me. We should constantly wonder, how did I become afflicted with this madness? When will I get over it? What do I have to do? It runs so deep in our conditioning that I can fulfill myself materially. I can satisfy myself materially. I just have to work harder. I just have to associate with the right people, have the right connections. In time, it will happen. In time. I'll get my fair share of material fulfillment. Never happens. In other words, even if you get what you want, which is not often, even if you get what you want, you're not satisfied. You want more. As Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita, Dusparein analenacha. The hankering for material fulfillment burns like fire, is never satisfied. It simply promises satisfaction, fulfillment. Even materialists have a term for this, but still they can't give it up. They call it promissory materialism. A promise is made, but never fulfilled. How many births does it take for us to understand that? When I'm speaking at universities, I bring up a very interesting study. Because with so much data and data crunching these days, you can analyze practically anything in terms of statistics. So these social researchers have calculated how an increase in salary beyond the basic necessities. We're not talking about people who are struggling just to have fresh air, fresh water, food, a roof over their head. Of course, in so many cities these days, you don't get fresh air, you don't get fresh water, fresh food. But still, there's progress. There's advancement. In any case, we're not talking about those trying to survive with the bare necessities. This study is focusing on those who are doing okay, lower middle class, upper middle class. What happens when the income rises? What's a good middle class income in India? How many rupees a year? Who knows? Huh? 10 lakhs. So you think, okay, if I get the 10 lakhs a year, I'll be satisfied. I don't want more than that. I'll be happy if I can increase. So this study shows we'll use US dollars. We'll use the American standard of living. You go from $50,000 a year to $100,000 a year. Your purchasing power has doubled. What could be better than that? But what else doubles? Your material desires. Do you see how tricky the illusory energy is? So it's been calculated that for every $1 increase in your annual income, your expectations go up $1.40. So when you have $50,000 a year, you think, oh, if I just get $100,000, I'll be fine. Double purchasing power, another car, this, that, the other, a bigger house. What you don't calculate is that your material desires also go up. So these researchers they've analyzed it to the penny. Every dollar that goes up, the expectations go up $1.40. So you never have enough. You increase to $200,000 a year, expectations are $280,000 a year. And what's worse, okay, let's say you're making $50,000 a year, and you get the increase to $100,000. Consumer purchasing power, as we said, double. For a while, you're feeling good about that, until you look around and you see someone else is making $150,000. Then all your contentment is finished. In other words, if you're going to be temporarily happy about making $100,000, doubling your income, you have to make sure that there's no one around you making more. Because as soon as you see someone around you is making more, all your temporary illusory contentment is immediately finished. So you have to carefully engineer your circumstances to only be around inferiors. Then you can feel good about your salary. So this shows you the insanity. There is no satiation. There is no gift from the material energy that says, now you have enough. You can rest on your perch, be content. It never happens with any kind of material desire. Any kind. There's no plateau, there's no perch. So even Indra has got a problem. He's king of heaven. He can't get enough. Who is this trying to do a horse sacrifice? Sagar? So what did Indra do? He arranged that the horse is stolen. So the sons of Sagar, and he had many of them, wanted to help their father, so they began searching the whole world looking for the horse so that the father could complete the yajna. They found the horse after much endeavor, and they saw that the missing horse was next to this, what they should have recognized was an extraordinary person. It was Lord Kapila. But possessed by their fruitive mentality, they thought Kapila was the horse thief. This shows you the dangers of material vision. Look at this. Look at this offender, this horse thief, this sinful person. They were saying that about Lord Kapila. How did they become so deluded? They didn't recognize at least a sadhu, what to speak of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What happened? The Shastra says Indra had bewildered their intelligence. This is how proactive Indra can be. He steals the horse, and then he with his mystic powers, he clouds the intelligence of the sons of Sagar, and they made such an offense. Obviously, the sons did not have the spiritual mentality for resisting such interference on their consciousness by Indra. Obviously, they were weak and they were prone for manipulation. So therefore, they made that most severe mistake. Horse thief, kill him, offender. What happened then? Due to the very nature of the offense, the material ingredients in their material body ignited into a fire, and they all burned to ashes. All these many sons of Sagar just became a heap of ashes. So the Bhagavatam wants you to be clear about Lord Kapila not having any anger. Lord Kapila didn't kill them because Prashanta, he's completely peaceful. The sons of Sagar killed themselves just by making that offense. So Kapila is standing there completely free from any attachment and aversion. He's not angry, but the way nature works is that such a most deadly offense ignited the bodies of these sons of Sagar. We don't understand the full workings of material nature. Even in this day and age in which people think they know everything about nature, in honest moments, many scientists will admit we just barely scratched the surface of knowledge of how material nature works. And the proof is such an extraordinary environmental crisis, such a belated, partial understanding of how everything is connected to everything else. But Bhagavatam shows you that. Here these sons of Sagar killed themselves, basically, by making the most grievous offense. It's not that Kapila had to do anything. So now what? The yajna can't continue. There's no horse. So many sons of Sagar are dead. So Sagar has a grandson, Amshuman, and he decides to try to do something about the situation. And he's the one making the prayers that you heard. He searches the world. He finds out the horse, and he sees the pile of ashes. And he also sees Lord Kapila. He has the proper consciousness. As soon as he sees Lord Kapila, he offers his obeisances. He offers prayers. O completely peaceful Lord, although material nature, fruit of activities, and their consequent material names and forms are your creation, you are unaffected by them. Therefore, your transcendental name is different from material names, and your form is different from material forms. You assume a form resembling a material body just to give us instructions like those of Bhagavad-Gita. But actually, you are the supreme original person. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. He's not making the mistake that his uncles did. He is pointing out, you have no material body. You assume a form resembling a material body. Your name is not material. He's establishing the glories of the holy name. Someone may make the mistake, he's implying, that because material nature, karmic activities, material names and forms come from you, someone could make the mistake of thinking you're affected by material nature. It would seem to be common sense. This comes from you, therefore you must be bound up with that. There must be some compromise because material nature comes from you. That means your purity must be compromised. It's as easy as adding 1 + 1 = 2. But as you know, the whole Bhagavatam puts so much time into destroying this notion that although material nature comes from Krishna, Krishna is unaffected. He's the master of the material energy. So much so that even though it comes from him, he's not compromised by it. So Amshuman is repeating that point in his prayers to Kapila Dev. He pleases Kapila Dev. He gets a completely different reaction. He gets all success in his mission, whereas his uncles destroyed themselves. The difference is all bound up with how Lord Kapila Dev was treated. Amshuman gets the horse, and Lord Kapila Dev tells him information not only about the horse, but also how to revive his dead uncles, their bodies were just a pile of ashes. Kapila Dev told Amshuman, only if you get some water from the Ganga and sprinkle it on the heap of ashes will the situation with your uncles be rectified. So just see the difference. Yasya prasada bhagavat prasado, yasya prasada nagadikatopi. Same situation. Kapila Dev, the horse, but different consciousness in terms of the uncles of Amshuman and Amshuman himself. Therefore, the whole result is different. So let us consider this prashanta, O completely peaceful one. We're meant to also become completely peaceful, not in an inactive, lethargic state, but peacefully pursuing Krishna's pleasure. By pursuing Krishna's pleasure, automatically, inherently, you become peaceful. This is the mysticism of bhakti. We can endeavor more than any materialist exerts himself or herself. Yet, because that endeavor is for Krishna's sense satisfaction, the devotee is completely peaceful. When you read Prabhupada's presentation of Rasa Leela in the Krishna book, he makes the point very clear, and it's very appropriate because today is Sri Krishna Rasa Yatra. He makes the point that, and the point gives us denizens of Kali Yuga some solace, some confidence. He says, there is sense gratification not only on the material platform, but also on the spiritual platform. Sense gratification is inherent in any kind of existence, whether it's material or spiritual. The difference, as you know, pointed out by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Chaitanya Charitamrita. The difference is all about whose senses are we trying to gratify? Our own senses or Krishna's senses. But the common factor in any kind of existence is gratification of the senses. The way to become peaceful is to endeavor with all one's abilities and energies for pleasing Krishna, and even though you're so dynamic and so energetic, you're completely peaceful. This is bhakti mysticism. Some of us, many of us can remember times in our life when we really exerted ourselves. We really tried to achieve something. When you remember those moments about your life, maybe it was at a job, you had to prove yourself at a new job. Maybe it was school. Maybe it was taking the famous Indian exams. You really clamped down on yourself and pushed yourself. Think about those times in your life and know you have to give Krishna at least that much. Better to give more, but at least give Krishna as much as we gave for some material pursuit. Otherwise, we're cheating. So it's actually not enough to look around and say, well, I'm doing more energetically than that person. We're all individuals. And Krishna is in our heart. He knows what is your actual full contribution. So this is a good way to check yourself, to do some self-inspection. Think about times in your life when you really struggled to achieve something, when you really tolerated a situation just to achieve a goal. And know I have to do at least that much endeavor and toleration for the sake of pleasing Krishna. If we had time, I could tell an example. All right. When I was, 14, my mother arranged that I take a test, and as a result of the test, I got a scholarship to a super ritzy, fancy, elitist boarding school in the USA. They're called prep schools there. Preparing for the ultimate achievement. So there I was at this boarding school surrounded by the wealthiest kids in North America. And they were looking at me like, what do we have here? Some refugee from the urban areas? Oh, well, our school has to show some diversity, so I guess we have to tolerate his presence. So the first few months, I was under such emotional pressure. My academic performance wasn't good, and that made it worse. Just see, we told you. What's this guy doing here? But finally, I decided, it's all karma, of course. I have to rally. I have to get myself together. So I'll never forget. I studied till midnight every night. Of course, I think that's normal here in India. If you want to pass your exams, midnight is nothing, right? Anyway, I studied hard. I still can't understand what got into me, why I did this. It's fruitive activity, but still, I remember the endeavor. They were threatening me, the school. And they were not simply threatening, they thought it was going to happen. We think because you're coming from one of those urban schools to our heavenly planet, you have to repeat your previous year. Because your 9th grade in a city school can't compare to ours, and now you're in the 10th grade here, you're way over your head. We think you're going to have to repeat a grade. Oh my goodness, horrible. So I buckled down and I studied so intensely. After 3 months, they were shocked. The way my karma played out. I was at the top of the class. What? What is going on? What's happening? They were astonished. But I never forgot the effort. It's karma, yes, but still I was exerting myself like I never did before in my life. So my point in telling the story is to give you an example. Everyone has a time in their life when they just drove themselves to achieve something. Almost everyone. we have to do that much for Krishna, at least. Otherwise, we're cheating. If we want to understand Krishna in truth, we take up a service and we sacrifice for that service, for Krishna's sense pleasure. Then we can understand Krishna. Otherwise, understanding Krishna is very difficult. Without that medium of sacrificial bhakti, Krishna does not become a reality for us. It's like today is Sri Krishna Rasa Yatra. We're ending the month of Kartik. Damodar Leela is difficult enough to understand. How Krishna, who is completely free, becomes bound up. And how he becomes bound not by Mother Yashoda's rope, but by her bhakti. That is so inconceivable. How do you bind a child who has no beginning or end? How do you bind a child who is limitless? And then we think about Rasa Leela. Bhagavan apita ratri. Shukadeva Goswami begins his description in the 10th canto. Although he's Bhagavan, he's completely self-satisfied, completely peaceful, because he contains all possibilities, totally self-sufficient. Still, he looks at the night that's approaching. Sharadotpala Malika. The jasmine flowers have blossomed. They shouldn't in the autumn season, but they're doing that because Yoga Maya is arranging all the udipanas, all these stimulants for ecstatic love of Krishna and for Krishna's pleasure. Kavi Karnapur describes that Krishna had just finished dinner. On this day we celebrate as Sri Krishna Rasa Yatra. He had just finished dinner and he had gone up to his rooftop bedroom, leaving Mother Yashoda. And then he looks out and sees the night and suddenly decides, tonight is the night. And he clandestinely, secretly leaves home for the night. By the arrangement of Yoga Maya, the night is so unlimitedly attractive. The moon, the fragrances of the flowers. Viksharantam manas chakre. Krishna begins to consider in his mind, this is the time for love. He sees all the stimulants. He detects the perfect suitability of the moment. Krishna knows how to seize the time. He's Kalavit. He's the most expert knower of time, place, and circumstance. So he makes a quick strategic analysis. This is the night to fulfill my promise. He had told the young Gopi girls during the Leela of stealing the clothes. He promised them, I will fulfill your desire. Now is the time. You get a glimpse of this at the end of the Damodarastic prayers, as you know. Namo Radhikaya, Namo Nanta Lilaya, Devaya Tubhyam. The reciter of the prayer is offering obeisances to Krishna's dearmost as well as to all of Krishna's unlimited pastimes. Namo Nanta Lilaya Devaya Tubhya. Every pastime of Krishna has no limit, and his sum total of pastimes have no limit. So the Rasa Lila begins with someone who is perfect and complete, apparently seeking to fulfill a desire. Yogamayam upashrita. He takes shelter of Yogamaya. Yogamaya will arrange everything. Krishna is so expert that by his flute playing, the sound made it so, the sound of the flute made it so that each gopi was thinking, he's only calling me. And so each gopi raced out to the forest thinking, Krishna is only calling me. Embedded in the sound vibration of the flute was the name of each individual gopi. So each individual one thought, he's calling me, he's calling me. Yogamayam upashrita. This is how Krishna's pastimes so perfectly unfold. By hearing about the supreme desire of Krishna, we can lose our foolish, artificial desires. We cannot kill desire. So many people are having trouble with desires. And you'd be surprised, many persons come to the conclusion that you must stop all desire. It's a hopeless endeavor, but you have to stop all desire. Shri Krishna Rasayatra means unlimited desire. All in perfect harmony with Krishna. Any questions? Shruti Prabhu.
If one thinks ahead of time that if my income increases, then I can help my home temple, like we need to repair a roof, or Vrindavan is going to need some new projects, and TOVP needs to be finished. Some countries don't have books, then if I get more income, then I can do this instead of sense gratification. Then does that help one?
Of course, any desire to please Krishna's senses is our constitutional position. But you have to be careful, Rupa Goswami explains in Sri Upadeshamrita. Don't over-endeavor. Now that's always a big question amongst devotees. Prabhu, you're over-endeavoring. What's an over-endeavor? How do you know what an over-endeavor is? It's when you try to do something, even for Krishna, but in the process of doing that, you jeopardize your spiritual sadhana, you jeopardize your spiritual life. So that's always the barometer. And especially if you're trying for some material goal and you jeopardize your spiritual standards. But even in the so-called pursuit of serving Krishna, let's say you stop chanting your rounds. I've seen this happen. Devotees go on an extraordinary marathon. I saw it happen in Los Angeles during the famous Chaitanya Charitamrita marathon. Some devotees never recovered their sadhana afterwards. They became habituated to just doing service without chanting Hare Krishna, which meant that they weren't going to be able to go the distance. So that's an over-endeavor. Yes, try all your might to please Krishna, but part of proper trying is your chanting, your daily sadhana. So, in answer to your question, sure, you can desire to make so much money, all for Krishna's pleasure. But don't forget to chant Hare Krishna, read Prabhupada's books. Yes.
You made a wonderful point that every time in life we have some instances where we put a lot of effort and do our best to achieve that material thing, and we should put that for Krishna's service. But the point is that what we do for material thing, we might do once in a lifetime or maybe like once a year. How do we keep ourselves motivated to do for Krishna always?
Instead of just once a year?
But everything is like once in a lifetime or once a year, small, once like, but here they are doing once consistently and constantly.
Different ashrams have different styles. Always have the desire in your heart to do more, but always take guidance in terms of how to balance your life so you can go the distance. Bhakti requires guidance. The way a sannyasi endeavors is different from the way a householder endeavors, but the goal is the same, how to be a servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Remember Srila Prabhupada? He said his original plan was to make a lot of money and then carry out his Guru Maharaj's order to spread bhakti all over the world. He said, astrologers had said he was meant to be one of the richest men ever in India. So that was his plan. But then I read with my own eyes his saying that Krishna and I had an argument. I wanted to do it. There was no doubt about carrying out my Guru Maharaj's orders. No question of that. But I wanted to do it as a rich man, and Krishna said, you do it as a poor man. He said, and Krishna won. Yes.
I was listening to you speak about making effort, just as we have sometimes in material life, the supreme effort or an extreme effort to really accomplish something. And I'm wondering, as we try to do that in our bhakti, and make that effort so that we're not cheating Krishna, will our desire to make further effort increase as well? In other words, is there it doesn't always grow, is that desire to ever continue to grow, we need to continue to offer more?
Spiritual desire is contagious and escalating unless you do something that impedes your spiritual desire, like offenses, material association. What Rupa Goswami points out in the beginning of Upadeshamrita, Jana Sangha, associating with ordinary persons, fills you with ordinary desires. Offenses to devotees impede your further spiritual development. But otherwise, you arrange your lifestyle so the circumstances are all conducive, and then your spiritual desire increases. You just have to be mindful of any negative factors. You want to protect your bhakti lata. You want to protect your creeper. Life in this world always involves positive and negative. Things that will impede your service and things that will accelerate your service. We can't get away from that until we are completely free from the material energy. We always have to keep in mind there are positives and negatives. And keeping that in mind is part of our service to Krishna. It shows we care. How can I live a more pure life? What can I do better for Krishna? Association makes that consciousness so easy. If we seek out inspiring association, we'll always remain inspired. And we'll see how spiritual desire is always increasing. When it becomes difficult to see that, then we need to fix the situation through inspiring association. Then it becomes so easy to see. All right, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.